So we're diving deep into data analysis and AI today, which seems like it's on everyone's mind these days. And we've got this article by William L. Weaver. He's got a really interesting take on how AI and data mining are like totally connected. You ready to unearth some of those hidden insights?
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. Weaver starts off with this story about a program from way back in the 70s called Tailspin.
Wait, AI from the 70s. Seriously, what could it do back then?
Well, get this. This program was designed to generate stories. And you won't believe this, it actually ended up creating a short, kind of humorous fable about, of all things, a fox and a crow.
No way. AI was writing fables before we even had, like, decent personal computers.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Pretty wild. And, you know, while a fable writing machine wasn't exactly what they were going for, it revealed something super important. It showed that AI has this inherent ability to find patterns in data, even if they aren't super obvious at first glance.
Okay, now I see where you're going with this. This is where data mining enters the picture, right?
Exactly. Weaver uses that fable as a jumping-off point to talk about data mining. He says, just like that program stumbled upon a story hidden in the data mining is all about uncovering hidden patterns and trends in those massive amounts of information we're constantly gathering these days. He actually calls it data spelunking. Like, we're exploring a cave, but instead of rocks and stalactites, it's all data.
Data spelunking, I love that. Okay, so we're searching for buried treasure, but instead of gold, we're after, like, insights.
Well, exactly. And just like any good spelunker needs the right tools, data miners rely on a bunch of different techniques. Weaver digs into a few key ones: decision trees, clustering, neural networks, even genetic algorithms.
Okay, so we've got our headlamps and our pickaxes ready. Walk me through these data mining techniques. What are they all about?
Okay, so decision trees, right? They basically create a kind of like a flow chart from the data where each branch, you know, represents a decision based on a particular feature. It's like, imagine trying to predict if someone will subscribe to a service, say a streaming platform.
Like Netflix. Give me an example. How would a decision tree work for that?
Yeah, exactly. So the decision tree, it might branch based on different things like someone's age, their viewing habits, even if they're into documentaries or if they're more into action movies. And each branch, it would lead to a final outcome, like a prediction of whether or not they're likely to subscribe. And the cool thing is the algorithm, it actually learns these rules by analyzing all the existing user data. That's how it's able to make these, you know, pretty accurate classifications about new users.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's like the algorithm is like building a roadmap from all that past data to try and figure out future behavior. Okay, what about clustering? How does that work in data mining?
So clustering is all about grouping things together. Think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to make sense of, like, a massive pile of online articles, research papers even, maybe stuff about AI and data mining. Clustering algorithms would basically group those articles together based on similar themes or topics, kind of like, you know, organizing them into folders, but automatically.
So for someone like me who's always digging into AI and data analysis, clustering could help me find all the articles about, let's say, the ethical implications of AI or the latest breakthroughs in neural networks. That
Yeah.
would save me so much time on research.
Exactly. You got it. And that's what's so cool about clustering. It reveals those hidden connections and patterns that might not be obvious at all when you're just looking at this mountain of data. It's like that saying, can't see the forest for the trees. This helps you see the
Yeah,
forest.
makes sense. Okay, so we hear a lot about neural networks. It seems like they're popping up everywhere. Where do they fit into all of this data mining stuff?
Neural networks are super interesting. The whole idea is actually inspired by how the human brain works. So they're made up of these interconnected nodes, kind of like neurons, and they, you know, process and send information back and forth.
Yeah, I always picture those diagrams with like all the lines and circles, kind of like a super complex web or something. It seems very, mysterious.
Yeah, you're right. It is pretty complex. But yeah, that's a good way to picture it. And the connections between those nodes, well, they have different weights. And those weights, they change during the learning process. So that's how the network is able to figure out those really complex patterns and make those, you know, those scarily accurate predictions.
So like if we feed a neural network a ton of data about, I don't know, let's say online shopping trends, could it actually learn to predict what products will be like the hot items next season?
That's the idea. Neural networks are really good at handling massive, complicated data sets. They're great at spotting those really subtle correlations that other methods might completely miss. That's why they're so valuable for things like predicting what consumers are going to buy or even how the stock market might fluctuate.
That's wild. Okay, we've talked about decision trees, clustering neural networks. We can't forget about genetic algorithms, though, right? I have to admit, those have always been kind of a mystery to me. Can you break it down? How do they work in data mining?
Yeah, so genetic algorithms, they're kind of cool because they actually take inspiration from like natural selection, that whole survival of the fittest thing, but, applied to data instead of living organisms.
Survival of the fittest, but for data. I love it. Tell me more.
Okay, so basically they create a bunch of possible solutions to a problem, and then just like in nature, those solutions kind of compete with each other. They get combined and mutated over and over again across generations. And the solutions that are best at solving the problem, well, they're the ones that survive, and they're the ones that get to pass on their genes, so to speak, to the next generation.
So it's like a constant process of trial and error,
Mhm.
but it's guided by these evolutionary principles, and the solutions, they just keep getting better and better, closer to the best one.
That's exactly it. That's why they're so powerful for finding the absolute best solution to a problem, like whether you're trying to optimize, say, a marketing campaign or fine-tuning a predictive model for, data mining. It's those little tweaks that really make a difference.
This is blowing my mind. I have to say, it is a lot to take in, though. We've gone from AI writing stories to algorithms based on evolution. So where does this all leave us? What's the one thing someone who's really interested in all of this should take away from this? So we've dug into all these data mining techniques, and it's clear this is about way more than just collecting data. It's like we're talking about finding those hidden insights and using them to make smarter decisions. But I got to be honest, all this talk about algorithms and neural networks, it sounds pretty intense. So what does this actually mean for someone like me who's, interested in AI and data analysis, but not like a hardcore data scientist? Am I going to have to go back to school for this?
Right. That's a good question. I hear that a lot, actually. And yeah, I get it. This stuff can seem a little intimidating for sure. But here's the good news. You don't need to be like a coding genius or have a PhD to actually use and benefit from data mining and AI.
Okay, yeah, that's a relief. So you're saying we don't all have to become like data mining experts to make it in this new world?
Nope, not at all. Think of it this way. You don't need to know how to build a car engine to, drive a car, right? It's the same idea with these technologies. They're getting easier to use all the time. And there are more and more tools and resources out there that make them accessible to pretty much anyone.
Okay, that makes sense. But how can someone like me, who's, fascinated by AI and data analysis, how can I actually use these ideas, like in my work or even just in my personal life? Got any examples?
Oh, for sure. The cool thing about data mining is that it can apply to like almost every field you can think of. So for you, in the AI and data analysis world, you could use these techniques to really dig deep into research trends, maybe identify like the big influencers, or even predict which areas of AI are going to see those game-changing breakthroughs, in the next few years. Think about it. You could be ahead of the curve.
Wow, that would be amazing. I'm already starting to see the potential here. It's like having this superpower to look through tons of information and just pull out those golden nuggets, those amazing insights.
That's it. And honestly, we're just getting started. As these technologies keep getting better, we're going to see even more creative and unexpected applications popping up. It really is a super exciting time to be into the world of data.
This deep dive has been pretty wild. We've gone from AI writing fables to exploring algorithms based on evolution. So if you had to leave our listeners with one big idea, the one thing you really want them to remember about data mining, what would it be?
I think the most important takeaway is this. Data on its own, it's just raw material. It's the insights we get from that data that are really valuable. And data mining and AI, they're the tools that let us unlock that value, to see those hidden patterns, predict what might happen in the future, and ultimately just make better decisions in every part of our lives.
It's like we're explorers in a whole new world, right? And yeah, it's exciting, but maybe a little bit scary at the same time.
Definitely. But that feeling of discovery, of uncovering those hidden truths, that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of data mining and AI.
Yeah.
We just scratched the surface today, but we hope this sparked your curiosity and gave you a glimpse into how powerful these technologies can be.
It was great being here. And remember, the most interesting discoveries are often the ones we least expect. So keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and most importantly, keep digging for those hidden insights. You never know what you might find.